Hello, Mr. Barton here, and in this video I seek to answer the question, how can I use diagnostic questions to actually plan a lesson? Now, I'll be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this because of the video, I use diagnostic questions to plan every single one of my lessons, and it probably takes me about 2 or 3 minutes, something like that. So I'm going to show you how I use it, and hopefully it'll be something that'll be useful to you too. So I want you to imagine that I'm about to teach a lesson on adding and subtracting fractions. And in fact, the reason I've chosen this topic is because, flipping heck, 12 years ago at the time of recording, I'd have been teaching my very first lesson as a teacher, and it was to a year 8 class on adding and subtracting fractions. And I went in there not having a flipping clue what kind of mistakes and misconceptions students would have. I had a bit of an idea, I could kind of imagine, but honestly, some of the mistakes they were making, I thought they were winding me up. But if I'd have had access to data and information on some of the misconceptions and mistakes students make, it would have enabled me to plan my lesson far more effectively. So that's what we're going to look at very quickly in this video. So log yourself into Diagnostic Questions, then you want to navigate over to the left here, and you want to go to Insights. Now, the Insights section, and we'll cover this in later videos, is normally where you go to see results from quizzes or progress that your students are making over time and so on. But there's also this tab here, Plan a Lesson. Now, if you give this a little click, what this does is it allows you to see data from questions that have been answered all over the world by everyone. And you can filter these down to girls and boys and all that kind of stuff. But what I like to do is get a bit of a global perspective. So here we go. I am teaching. So let's tell it what I'm teaching. So I'm going to go for adding, and if we just take a little scroll down here, and fingers crossed it's there. Yeah, there we go. Adding and subtracting fractions. So obviously you pick any topic you like and you give that a click. And it'll just take a second because flipping out there are thousands of bits of data, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of bits of data. So you get a little picture here and it just shows you, it just puts it in context. You can see adding and subtracting fractions. Questions have got right 58.7% compared to multiplying and dividing, fractions of amounts. So you just get a bit of a picture where this fits into the kind of overall difficulty level of how students find it. Then if you scroll down here, you get a selection of questions on adding and subtracting fractions, together with the percentage of students who've got those questions correctly. These are sorted by percent incorrect, so the worst answered questions in this particular topic. But that's perfect, right? Because that allows you, as a teacher, to pick out the questions that you want to ask your students, the questions that you know students are going to struggle with. So let's pick a couple of these out. Now, my advice is, I'm on a PC here, so I'm going to use a little control button, hold that down, and then I'm going to click explanations, and that's going to open it up in a new tab. If you want as well, I believe if you do a bit of a right click and open a new tab, that works as well. And let's say we'll pick this one as well. Treat ourselves to that one in a new tab. Now, this is a question by AQA. If I click filter my data, I can then change it if I just want to see how girls got on with this question, or boys, or different age groups and all that kind of thing. But I'm pretty happy with that. So go down here, and if I click percentage, I can see, as I say, that only 27% of kids are getting this question right. But here's the beauty of it. Firstly, I can see reasons why kids got it right, explanations students gave, and these are arranged in order that they're popular. Okay, so that could be useful. So I can see the most popular one, 5/8 is spent, 1/3 of 5/8 is 1/8, and so on. So that might be a reason that 25 students around the world have liked. So that could be something I could then use in my explanations. But more importantly than that, we can see why students are getting it wrong. So why are 22% of students going for answer A? Well, we can change it. Let's give this a little click. Let's go answer A. And then we can start to read explanations of why students are getting it wrong. And that is so valuable, because that's going to give you an insight into the kind of misconceptions students have. And you can do that for each of the other questions. So flipping heck, 37% going for B. Why are 37% going for B? Well, have a read of it, and that's going to give you the answers and explanations there. So for me, that is so valuable going into teaching a lesson on adding and subtracting fractions. Firstly, I've got a question lined up my question up my sleeve there that I can use, perhaps as a using an applying style question at the end. And I'm also going in there armed with an idea of the kind of mistakes students are going to make and how I'm going to help address those misconceptions. And I can do it for all of them. So we've got another adding and subtracting question there. Now I'm going to leave this as a bit of a teaser. What mistake do you reckon kids are making with that particular question? And then what about that one? Why are students getting that question wrong so much? So you can see, not only does doing it this way arm you with a load of questions that you can use with your students, but it finds you the good questions, the questions that students are getting wrong, and reveal those fundamental misconceptions. And you can do that with any topic you like. So I do that every single time I'm planning a lesson. Hope that helps. See you later.